My friend Dougie likes planes and ships, so he decided to build an aircraft carrier. But there were a lot of choices. World War II, or post, or modern. And what scale? 1/700, 1/350, or even 1/200? But not for Dougie. He chose a slightly larger scale, 1/72. In 1/72, a tank would completely fit in my hand, with room left over. But in 1/72, an aircraft carrier is bigger. It's 4.6 meters, or just over 15 feet. Let's have a chat with Dougie and find out more.
Hello, hi, how are you?
Hi, Dougie.
Nice to see you.
Just got a few questions about your amazing project, the Nimitz.
Okay, that's fine. Glad to help. So the Nimitz project is taking quite a few years now, but it's essentially multiple projects in one, multiple sub-projects. So there's the planes and the decals and all the fittings and the painting, etc. I think today we're just going to focus on the hull and the hull waterproofing and the electronics to make the big boat go, if that's okay.
I think that's plenty. Although I do have some questions afterwards.
Okay, that's great. Look forward to them. So the full size, the Nimitz is a huge beast itself, 100,000 tons. And the Nimitz was the first of its class, launched in June '78, and it was in the 1970s rather. It was made, but I'm depicting it in June '78 by making it in 70-second scale, which means it's 15 foot, just over 15 foot long, 3.5 foot wide. So large, bulky, and not the easiest to move around. And as you can see, that's a plan, 15-foot plan on a driveway with a 350th model over the top. So I built the 350th trumpeter kit as at the start to kind of learn all about it. Started off getting myself a bandsaw. I didn't have one of those because if you're going to cut frames, you're going to need a bandsaw. And then plans. Hunted around for plans, managed to get them. Now it's still kind of secret because the 10 in the class are still serving at the moment. So there aren't detailed, accurate plans out there to get for obvious reasons. I managed to get plans, but they were okay. So got them printed in A0 size, 35 of them, and just taped them all together. Then next part is research, just finding pictures of the ship and taking images from the final countdown film, because that was a major inspiration for doing it. That was the main inspiration anyway.
I imagine. I haven't seen that film in years, but I saw it when it came out.
You must see it. You must see it. It's a great film. Kirk Douglas and he's the captain. He's wonderful in it. Very eerie. Pre Top Gun. So the real Nimitz is over 1,000 feet long, and in 70-second scale that makes her 15, just over 15 feet by 3.5 feet wide. So quite a beast for a model. A model's not supposed to put your back out, but it does if you're daft enough to try and make one in that scale. So the Nimitz is the first of the class, and it was built in the 70s. So first thing to do was to get myself a bandsaw to be able to cut frames in wood, which I hadn't previously done. So got myself
it's too bad you had to get a bandsaw.
Yes, I had to. Yes, an excuse. Yeah. Next thing was to get the plans. Now I managed to get the plans quite cheap online, but I don't know if they're fully accurate. or certainly not detailed, because the 10 ships are still active at the moment, so there's still certain details that are secret. So I've got the plans printed off in A0 size, all 35 of them, and taped them all together. And that's one example you can see on the driveway with a 350th scale trumpeter model that I built at the start to learn about the details. Now, first thing was to print out the frames, and you can see them, they're all on 2 sheets. So then you take the frames, those printed out sheets, and then you put them on carbon paper. Do you remember carbon paper?
Oh, I'm old enough to remember that, yeah.
So I hadn't used it for many, many years. I didn't expect I would do, but got the carbon paper, and then drew on top of the plan on top of the carbon paper, which puts it onto 6mm ply. So there's 2 thicknesses of the ply, marine ply, 6mm for the frames and 4mm for the skin and the sort of deck.
2 questions already.
Okay.
The carbon paper, the carbon from the carbon paper, that adhered pretty well. You didn't have a real smudge problem or anything?
Not really, no. It was absolutely fine. And it's only to get a line out anyway, so it was absolutely fine.
That's true. For the roundy curved bits of the hull, did you do any steaming, or did you slice the wood to make the curve?
I think steaming would probably have worked, but I managed to get it without it.
Oh, just bending it?
Just bend it, but the skin there's quite a large curve anyway. But I sometimes just cut the bits as we'll see. I'll keep you right as we go.
Okay.
So first of all, I had to learn how to use a bandsaw because I hadn't used it before.
And you've got all your fingers.
Absolutely. That's me with the gloves at the start going, oh, I'm not going to cut my fingers off. Later on, I'm just putting the wood straight in and seeing how it goes. So far, all fingers are there.
Good.
Now, I had to build a table as well to put it on.
You built a table as well?
Yeah, it's just, well, I'd say a table. It's just an old table with some MDF put over the top, but 12 feet long by 2 feet wide was all that's required to do that. You don't need the whole thing. It doesn't need to be 15-foot table, but it needs a big surface to go on.
Well, it's going to be great for a dinner party. Now, that one frame I can see is very thin at one point.
Which, the frame?
Yes, the one on the left. That one right there, yes.
Can you guess which one that one is?
I'm going to say the bow.
Yeah, that's it. That's the bow. That's the bulbous bow at the front, which I'll show you at the bow, obviously, the front. Yes, that's probably, I don't know if they're in order. They might be. That might be the first, second, third, fourth, fifth. That's them all. So there's 16 of them. So I started putting them together. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 7 frames there. So that's the central section. How I did it was there's different ways you can do it, but the way I did it was just get broom handles, which are light and cheap. So I bought 19 of them at a local hardware store.
Nothing to see here. Just cleaning them up house.
I just said I like to clean, and they didn't really know why I was saying it. So I used those to secure between the frames, and they also were quite good because you could lift those at the end. So I'd glue them and then use car body filler as an adhesive between there. And then the parts around here are the stringers, which I can show you. Yep, here. So these are where the strength comes from, and I probably didn't need to do as strong as that. That's why the boat's a bit too heavy. I used the thick stringers, which are long bits of wood here in between. So I had cut out little incisions into the frames to make those fit in. So that's
I was wondering about that. Yep.
Yep. So you've got a thick stringer and a thin one running all the way through. And you can see that I've started to add some detail over here. And I can't remember, it's port or starboard at the moment. Now what's next?
What did you use for the stringer material?
Oh, I just wood.
I figured, but what type of wood? Anything in particular?
No, I just the anything at the local hardware, just the cheapest that I could find, because there's a fair amount of it to buy. So yeah, here's when the first of the outer 4mm marine ply sheets went on. You see, I've clamped them, and sometimes I just cut strips and cut it round here. And then I think you can see I've got the other side now.
Yes, yes.
That's the, and then there's ovals on the side. You work out why there's big, huge 4 ovals right on each side, three on one side and one on another side.
Are they part of the elevator setup?
They are, yeah, that's right. So you've got 3 main sections in the aircraft carrier. You've got the keel at the bottom, then you've got the hangar deck higher up, and then at the top you've got the main deck, which is where all the planes sit when they're taking off and landing. But you've got to get the aircraft from the hangar deck out to the main deck. So you've got 4 elevators, but you have to get them out onto the elevator, then the elevator has to go up. But you also need to make not just a large enough hole to get them through, but you need to put an armored door in there so they're protected against, bombs. Because these enemies they're really quite annoying during the war. They tend to fire missiles at you and shoot bullets at you. I know. So you have to protect yourself with armored doors, and so that's where the big, really large ovals come from. So I think you can see how I've done it over here. I don't know if you can see there's a line down here where I've cut.
Yep, hey, that works.
Just cut round, so cut 4 of those. And that's one of them on the side already. So there's the midsection with some of the outer.
Oh yes, yeah.
4mm marine ply on, and I've got that one done there as well. Note with some of the rectangular cutouts, which drove me a bit crazy later on. And I've only just finished, but that was the start of them. So that was the first few rectangular cutouts. So that's the central section. Now we're moving on to the bow. So the bow is obviously shaped towards a point, but there was 16 frames in the whole hull, but there wasn't multiple frames right at the very bow. So in order to try and get that shape, I kind of hand drew a few extra frames there, and the round holes are for where the broom handles go through, and these cutouts here, see the rectangular cutouts?
That's where they slip in.
Aye, that's it, you got it. So that's how I did the bow. So you can see that these 1, 2, 3, 4 extra ones between frames 1 and 2, and then an extra 2 between 2 and 3. That's just because I thought that there was too much space for those stringers, and it would just have extra support.
Yeah.
And having them on aluminium broom poles allowed me to move them back and forward slightly, and I could take them out and recut them to get this, because I didn't necessarily get it perfect straight away.
Sure.
So I could take them off, shape them, and once it was all correct, then glue it all in place.
What did you use for glue between the wood and the aluminium?
Just super glue, CA glue.
Oh, excellent.
But then I added car body filler, automotive body filler. Have you ever used that in a project?
Once. It was all right, but I didn't realize how much mixing there was going to be and how smelly.
Oh yeah. I don't even notice it now. Just so used to doing it. I picked that tip up and I built a radio controlled submarine, not scratch built, but a sort of semi kit, and found it was really good for essentially a big glue. It holds things in place, but you can also use it to shape things. And we'll come to that. See that bow there?
Yep.
That was done partly with car body filler as well. But as you can see, I've got some of the stringers are on the hull now. Yes, the bulbous bow bit it's kind of been done there. So I think I might have done a few layers of wood, marine ply,
and then
shaped it, and then added car body filler. And once it's set, it's it's hard to sand. It's quite tough and durable. There's always little bits here you have to add another layer just to little imperfections. And you can see the very small narrow part there that we saw earlier on. So that's it pretty much there, ready to go, and some of the skins coming on the top now. And I think I added extra parts between the frames just for extra strength, over which the last layer would go, and it also helped with a bit of waterproofing as well.
Well, it's got a lot of weight to support, I imagine, just from its own structure. So
yeah, I wanted to build it strong as well. And also I hadn't built anything before, so you're going to build it a wee bit too strong in the first one because you don't know, whether the whole thing's going to fall apart. So the skins, a lot of the skins are on there, and it's just got lots of filler over the top, and that's starting to look like a bow. It's getting tidied up. And that, you see the hole there?
Yes.
Any ideas what that could be?
Does it have some sort of bow stabilizer, bow plane type?
That's right. It's like a bow thruster. So I'll show you that later on. But that's the big hole, which is not prototypical. It's not there on the real one.
But you need it, so.
Exactly. There's a give and take between a pond model and an actual model on your shelf. You can't have it at the pool, because you go to the pool and things break off. Okay, so the next part is the stern. This is the third one. So I think I've now added 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 frames from the stern. Looks like done it in this. You can see the same process, and these parts along the top are quite a thick bit of wood, and I needed that along the top because you needed to support the deck.
Oh yes,
Four sections of deck need to have support up the top. I'm not sure if I've glued it. Yes, it has been glued in place, so that's on the end now. So at that stage, the bow is separate, but the central section and the stern are together. So it's starting to get, 11 foot or something now. It's getting difficult to move around. It's the same sort of process. So the midsection has been skinned. Now it's just a case of doing the same for the stern. And you can see at the stern is getting shaped now. Starting to form the shape. And hey presto, we've got the...
How did you interlock the sections when you brought the bow and the midsection together? Did you have like a hole for an extension of the broom handle to go in, or did you bolt them, or?
The broom... yes, okay. I did a couple of really long broom handles between a couple of the frames.
Yep.
Because I was worried that it would fall off. But yeah, I did quite a few extra broom handles. And the good thing about the brooms is they are light and strong, so you can put an extra couple in without worrying about the weight. But then once the skin's on and all the other bits of wood, it starts to quite strong. So
sure, it would add to it. Now there's a bit of a keel, not just a spine keel, but there's actual.
Yep.
I don't know. It's not, hanging isn't the right word, but it's an actual more than spine. It's a sailboat.
That's right. Yeah. Notice there's no holes for the drive shaft yet.
Ah.
But I had to do that keel bar first before I put the skin on. So So if we go back, you can see that it's
Ah,
the peel
yes.
there before I've skinned it. So that's it up on its side, just in the edge of the table. Because I used to have to work on the side there. I'd be standing up on the table here over it, and trusting that wouldn't fall over, which it never did.
It's a big model you're working on when you have to stand to do it.
And notice how you've got there's 4 holes being cut in here. That's for the drive shafts to go through. Now, the bow's still not on there yet, but we're starting to have extra details that we haven't seen before. Here at the stern, here, and here. So it's just been built up with 4mm marine ply, just built up all the details slowly and surely. And then there's 2 sections of 4mm marine ply for the decking. So that's the first one, the second one, and there's 2 that I also cut there. Now, that's what we've just seen. That's the stern and the midsection together and the bow there. Do you remember you were asking about how I attach them together?
Yes.
Well, in this one you can kind of see that there's
yes.
about 3 aluminium poles which are going to go into holes here, and there's definitely one at the bottom, because I remember that one, and then there's multiple other stringers which will go in around here. So it hasn't come together yet, but it has now. That's 1, 2, 3, might even be 4, 3 or 4 aluminium poles, and these, you can see that one's going to go into there, that one's going to go into there. So the hull's been formed, but I need to make it waterproof. So never done any of this before.
A great learning experience.
It was, but somewhat frustrating. But yeah. So West System is what they use on real boats. So used it, and it seems to be a great product. I'm really happy with it. But you've got 2-part with the resin and the hardener, and you have this pump system that means you don't have to measure it out on like a scales or anything. And what we do is we get disposable plastic tubs from the supermarket. We just buy quite a lot of them, and disposable paintbrushes, disposable gloves, because once they're hardened, you have to dispose of them. So very cheap paintbrushes that are disposable worked fine. That's the cloth, so bought lots of it.
Was it hard to work with, especially never having done it before?
It was a bit, yeah. It was hard to get the whole thing completely right without a little bubble here and having to go back, and it's 15 foot you have to repair. So there was a few mistakes which had to be rectified, and also, but I had to test things first rather than just go and try and do it.
Sure.
And I think I kind of did it. I couldn't do the 16 foot, 15 foot at one go. It had to be pretty much four sections at a time. But the process was pretty much put one coat of West System onto the hull, add the cloth over the top, add another coat of West System, wait about an hour and a half to 2 hours until it's really tacky, add another coat thinned with denatured alcohol, and then another coat right on top to kind of fill this sort of thatch. Then after that, it's dried, light sand, and another thinned coat. But it took a wee while before I kind of got to that process, and I'm sure there's other ways of doing it, but that's how I did it. But there was a bit of problem with runs, and that's what denatured alcohol can be good with. You can put in 10-20% of denatured alcohol to help with that. There were runs here, there, and there were quite bad, and there was runs here and here, because I think that was Yeah, I did use the cloth over this part here. I think I had to strip that back and do it again. So there were. It took a long time to do it because of inexperience and just building up a bit of experience, and then just having to go back and do things like some parts again. So here you can see that there's different bits. It's looking patchy because you've got the wood, you've got parts of some of that's filler, some of that's 2-part filler because I wanted extra strength. So I painted over it to make it look pretty.
Oh, that looks beautiful.
So it's got undercoat now, but that revealed quite a few of the imperfections.
Yeah,
so
one of the reasons to use it. Yeah.
Yep. So that you can't quite see it there, but there's that bit there had to be done again. So I had to sand it down, but not go through the whole cloth. So I had to do it lightly, all by hand, and then, progressively go on to 800, then 1500 sandpaper, and then put another coat on. Now putting the coats on without the cloth wasn't so bad. Missed a few.
Did you sand the skin before you attempted the fiberglass?
Yes. Well, yes, I did. I didn't have to be super smooth, but it had to, because there was a bit of filler there. I had to be no imperfections there. You don't have to get it absolutely perfect because the cloth's going to go over the top. But yes, I did. But there's a difference between using a big electric sander and doing it by hand, time-wise. So yeah, sanded tire hull with different grades 4 times, runs in small mistakes with adding cloth, very costly in time, as you can expect. And I think what's happened there is I've then added a little bit of filler over the top of the undercoat, and it's kind of looking quite smooth there, ready to paint again. And I've got these stabilizing bars done here as well, which are removable. Now, extra bits that stick out for some of the missiles, sea sparrows. So now I'm getting a bit worried about weight because it's getting properly heavy now. So I built this removable, and you can see the pins, the brass pins go in the side. I've just built that with 4mm marine ply, lots of layers, and then sanded, a bit of filler over the top. And then I did the West System epoxy, but I added in a bit of filler, a bit of their filler as well. And that helped get a smooth surface, and then just sanded to have a smooth surface over the top. So that's not the finish. That's it before the epoxy resin went on. And then there's another one that's a bit larger than it looks, but that's another sea sparrow base. This one's a bit hollow. I've done it the same sort of way, and it's also removable. And there's a bolt that I used to put that one on. Now, in the interest of keeping weight down, this part here I did in foam because the weight was getting a bit much, so I thought I'll do it in foam. So I made 1, 2, 3, 4. So there's 4 essentially little mini frames here, and inside the frames are steel rod to keep them together. And then I added bits of foam in between them, and then carved them out and then sanded. So the foam itself is a sculpture block. Buy them in various sizes, you can get them quite easily, and you can cut them really, really easily. Just a hacksaw goes straight through them. The only difficulty is it's almost too easy. You can
take a chunk off and not realize.
Yeah, you take a chunk off, go too much, you have to rip it out and put another bit in. And then over the top, I tried putting normal filler in, but it wouldn't set, so I had to scrape that off. And I ended up putting epoxy resin over the top, and that seemed to work. So quite happy with that.
And I'm assuming the entire epoxy system is very expensive and painful.
It can, yes, it can be. So I got a 5 kilogram. So I got the big tin rather than multiple smaller tins. But yeah, that's right. Now, this is the first setup for the electronics. So you've got a 12-volt battery. So it's like a car battery, but it won't go dead after a few months. It's quite good, but I found that wasn't going to be enough. But this is the first setup, and now I'm looking at it, I'm thinking, okay, that's not going to work. The wires are not chunky enough for what was required. These are the 4 motors, and you've got 4 separate electronic speed controllers, one for each motor, and then you have a receiver. That's the receiver there, and a servo to make the rudders move, and an extra speed controller for the bow thruster. So there's 5 speed controllers.
And how many does the actual ship have? Engines, or I should say props,
4,
really.
4 props.
4, so you've matched that.
Yeah, matched that. So, and on the sticks, I have 2 of them on one stick and 2 of them on the other. So they're the 2-port motors go into, you move the stick on the left and it moves the port 1. If you move the stick forward and the other stick back, it can make that allows the boat to turn. Yep.
Do you have any problems with, not really synchronization, but if you want to go forward, it's pretty easy to put all forward and have them generally not work against each other?
It did work. Yeah, it should be fine. It's just because the boat's so heavy that it doesn't go quite so fast. That's the original board, which has changed now. But originally, I just built the electronics on a board, and it was going to go in that section there, quite high up. There's not much weight, so it's keeping away from the water. Because in a boat, you want to keep the weight down to the bottom. Yep. But with this, it's not heavy enough to worry. So this is the stern at the left-hand side. You've got the rods, which we'll see for the rudder, and then that's the servo for the rudder post. That's probably a better view. Do you see how the servo's got a plastic bit here?
Yeah.
And then you've got a rod, a linkage there to here.
Yeah.
So if that moved upwards, that would turn that, which would turn that way to the left, which would turn both rudders
at once.
So that worked okay. Now I've got that brass rod. It's not a rod. It's thick. I think it might even be steel. But that's the one that goes into the rudder. But around it goes into a brass rod here. So this brass rod comes up to the top. That which holds the rudders on can be removable through it.
Oh.
As long as that at the top there is above the water line, the water won't shoot out the top.
That's true.
Do you get what I mean? Water doesn't travel upwards.
Yeah.
That's a quick view of the bow thruster at the bow. So I've got a cable which goes from the stern, which the electronics are, up to the bow thruster. It's not big enough to effectively work, I found. And it doesn't really have to. It was just like an extra little bonus. But I think if I was doing it again, I think I would need a bigger one. That's where the bow thruster is. So you see how there's that's like a paddle. So the paddle goes round one way and effectively shoots out water one way, and then you reverse it and it shoots out water the other way. But there's a plastic tube which goes on here, which is that part which is added on. So it jutted out the side, and then I just cut that off to size and then filled it up and tidied it. I needed a hole here to be able to get my hand in, to be able to get in to connect things. And now that's obviously, I've closed that panel now. Now the motors, I was a bit sure about torque. I thought to increase the torque. Torpedo 850s might not have been the best choice. I don't know, because when I asked around, lots of the shops in the UK, they didn't know, because nobody had ever really done that. They're like, I don't know. Nobody's asked us these questions. Nobody's building 15-foot boats. So that was
why.
I know why. Why is everyone not doing it? I don't know why. Other than the space and the expense and the time and the effort and breaking your back, I don't know why everyone's not doing it. Anyway, so the Torpedo 850s added on a belt reduction here to help with torque.
Was that easy enough to get off the shelf, or did you have to?
Yeah, bought it off the shelf. Yeah, it was like a little extra kit, and built it on, no problem. Now, the drive shafts were custom ordered because they're bigger than what most people use, and they worked fine. So you've got two right-hand propellers, two left-hand propellers, 37.5 inch and 30 inch respectively, two of each.
Wow, that's long.
It's so long because my arms are only so long, but I outstretched my hands, and I needed to get from one end to be able to attach them to the motors, and the other end to kind of push them in, and my arms are only just so long, so any longer and I'd be in trouble, or I'd need assistance. So on the right hand side we see these are the rudders. So that's the steel post I was talking about. So actually those steel posts go down and then they come to the left here. I built them as an L.
Oh yeah. Oh, so they're bent.
They're bent so that the rudder doesn't turn.
Yeah, you don't want it to spin on the shaft. Yeah, yeah.
That's right. Yeah. So about the wooden rudders around that L shape, just with a few layers. Didn't actually take too long to do the rudders. Now these are the posts for the drive shaft. The drive shafts go through.
A lot of support.
Yep. So 4 motors. Then there's 2 in each, so eight of them, and just cut and soldered with brass.
Now that looks like a sort of non-mechanical bearing in the sense that it's just a slip fit. There's no actual bearing in there.
That's right. Yeah, I think there's bearings in that the drive shaft, but that they just go through here. That just holds them on. Now, I needed to replace quite a lot. Essentially, do the electronics again. The wires were burning out, and when I got the whole boat together with all the motors in and attached to the drive shafts, one battery wasn't enough to power it. So I needed two batteries. So now I changed it so that one battery powers two motors. That powers the other 2 motors. And I had to really beef up the wires to 10 AWG and 12 AWG. So they're really beefy wires that are not going to burn out now. And I had to get big crocodile clips as well. And these 2 batteries, they actually do add a bit of weight.
I was going to say they're probably lead batteries.
Yep, that's right. Yeah.
Now the crocodile clips are very convenient, I'm assuming. You just spring on and good. Exactly, and it's a solid connection.
It is, but I think I've got a switch here, maybe two switches that I can turn them off, on and off, and I can get to the switch from outside the boat.
Excellent.
Because once the deck's in place, if I've got a problem, something's burning out, I need to get to those switches quickly. and getting in to turn the crocodile clips is problematic because you're going to taking off the top deck's not going to be easy. So I've got some switches there to be able to turn them off. Now, how do I get to the pond? So these where I cut the frames out, there was the wood that was left can then be used.
As a cradle.
For the cradle there. So there's 5 frames that came off the center section.
And you skateboarded with this?
I skateboarded with this. Yes, pretty much. Yeah. I got it from a recycling center. It was just there, and I thought, hang on, skateboarding, because I used to be a skateboarder, and I thought that's going to be great because the trucks here will allow it to move, to turn slightly. So the cradle goes. I mean, I took that off and then built wooden top. But when the cradle goes on here, and then the boat goes on the cradle, when you put it down the street, you can push it to the side. Sure. Because of these trucks, you can actually turn it, and you get a better idea there.
Oh yeah.
And I know the boat looks bigger than the van, but that's just perspective.
Okay.
Getting the boat onto this here, turning it round into here was quite an operation, and we're just big enough to do in no more.
Well, I was going to ask you about this later, but this is perfect time. It seems like a lot to have to take a truck to take this out to use. So that's really the only way you can move the boat.
Well, you can get a trailer, and that's if I was trying to, I guess, do that regularly, then that would be the way to do it. But then trailers aren't cheap, and where to store it, etc. And someone suggested just put it in your roof like a canoe, and I'm thinking, okay, that's not quite a canoe, and I could just see this somewhat stressful of driving around thinking this is going to fall off. So there's when it goes in the truck, and I've got it all secured in there. It's safe. It's not going to get bashed around or damaged when it's in there. Getting it in and out of the truck, yeah, I'm going to bump little bits, but it's not going to get completely ruined. Whereas put it onto the roof or whatever wouldn't work. So weight's the problem now. So you can 3 or 4 people are needed to lift it and move it in. And that's us in the water for the first time. That's my pal Stephen, that's myself on the right, and we have loads of bags of ballast in here. I think that's probably the moment when it's just starting to go for the first time, slight wake here. So when you first put it in, it's riding high. As far as it's riding high, the rudders aren't all in the water. Because the rudders aren't all in the water, it ain't going to turn properly. You have to get it ballasted down to a level. Now, do you see here I've put a black line?
Yep, that's your water line.
That's the water line. So I had to get bags of sand or stones, just whatever I had, to hand, but I put it in, quite often double bagged them and put them in here. Now, the other reason for using the broom poles is because near the hull there's broom poles, aluminium poles, which run along just above either side of the hull or the keel. I can then put plates, which are 4mm marine ply, the spare 4mm marine ply that I had. I could get a rectangular kind of plate, put it on top of the 2 aluminium poles, and then I can put the ballast on top of that without putting it just right on the bottom of the boat. So it doesn't essentially put stress on the skin. So I think it helps to divide the load up.
Spread it out. Did the ballast shift at all?
No.
No. Good.
Because the bags were tight enough. See, in between the frames.
Oh yeah.
It was tight enough to be able to be in there. I guess if I did multiple small bags, it probably could. But because the compartments were tight enough, it was fine. Process of trial and error took loads. I took like 266 kilogram, which is, I knew it was way more than needed. I think it might have been about 152 kilograms, which is in there. With the boat being about 50 to 60, it's kind of hard to. My kitchen scales aren't any use, and I can't get the boat into the kitchen anyway. But but the whole total weight's something like 200 kilograms. It's quite a lot.
I've seen the total. It's big.
And that's it turning for the first time. A little bit of a wake. Yes, had a bit of damage in the first one. So lost a prop, and the rudder bent slightly. Now originally, the ESC's electronic speed controllers burnt out. So I thought that it was just a problem with the electronic speed controllers going over the maximum current. But afterwards, I kind of realised, well, if it's lost a propeller and one of the rudders is bent slightly, it must have hit something. So it stopped one of the props maybe, and that's what's maybe caused the ESCs to burn out. And then after that, I decided, okay, I need to better these speed controllers because these are probably not good enough. But I think it would be an obstruction because we were close to shore. So.
And losing a prop, I can understand losing a prop, but did it actually come off?
Yeah.
It's gone?
Oh, it's down at the pond right now. It's somewhere gone for good. Yes, it came off. I need to be a bit more careful to glue it as well as tighten it. Or maybe I even did, but it might have been because it was turning, and if it hit a rock, then you know there's a fair amount of force on that to against any glue. So I just need to not hit obstructions. So after that, I decided, okay, it's time to get better electronic speed controllers. I thought that the ones previous weren't good enough. I think it's because, yes, there were the Marine 25 S's that I got previously, but there was two versions. There was a 6 volt to 12 volt, and there was a 12 volt to 24 volt. And it wasn't obvious that I had the smaller ones. So I really needed the 12 volt to 24 versions. But anyway, I got the better ones. And Alan at Sussex Model Centre was really good at helping me get bigger, beefier ones. They're physically bigger wires, and so far so good. So let me show you the boat as it is at the moment. Different garage. We've got a bigger garage now.
Oh, excellent.
Now it's just sitting on a table. So let me see.
She looks like a real aircraft carrier.
She does. And see the bit at the back there, that's a 16-foot test tank.
Oh, really? That's handy. That's
handy.
It's another project. It's another project. You built a table and a test tank, I'm assuming.
So the test tank will then become the display case, which will then, at this point here, I'll put another shelf for anything I build in the future. So let me see, almost finished. There's a couple of extra details going on, but I just want to finish with those. Do you see there's rectangular cutouts?
Yes.
There's 140 of them.
Oof.
It took a while. So I just drilled it out and then small files to file them into shape. And they're not hard to do. It's just they get annoying after the first 50. You got to take a wee break, come back. And there's quite a few here, but they're all done now.
Now,
some
are those details for the life raft containers?
Some of those are coming up here, and maybe we can talk about those in the next.
Yeah.
Another time, but yes, all along here are the life raft containers. Yes, that's where they go. Absolutely. And I know that's untidy here. That's just because there was some damage at the pond, so I sanded it down, and it's yet to be painted again. But that's all nice and smooth, just paint flaking. Okay, over to yourself.
Okay, well, that's first of all a tremendous amount of effort, and it looks fantastic. You did a brilliant job, especially, not knowing all of the things, having to learn and to build a tank and table. That's pretty cool. We've talked about batteries. That's good. And sanding. I just had a question that just slipped out of my head. The transport. I'm assuming you don't also own the truck.
No. Oh, right. So it's a 7.5 ton truck, which is the kind of biggest you can legally drive. And yes, it was fun. I just got the keys and thought, well, okay, they're letting me drive it. I guess I better drive it now. Where's the nearest bridge that I don't hit?
Oh yes.
It got used to it, but the first 10 minutes was quite scary. But then you just get used to it and you're just driving it about. But I did get a puncture though.
I'm sure that's fun when you're loaded up.
Yeah. So we were moving the boat, and we got a puncture in one of the tires at the back, and there's 4 tires at the back, and so you can it was kind of okay as long as we got it back to the rental within the next hour. So we got the boat out as fast as we could, and I think neighbours helped us. Everyone just got the stuff out and we drove it back before the tires gone down. But yes, it's a problem. Driving the truck.
How's that going to be in the future? Do you say, "Oh, I think I'll go sail Nimitz this weekend"?
I think it's really just once or twice doing it, and then it'll become just a model, because it is so cumbersome. It's so much of an operation to do. But I knew that at the time. I mean, the other way to do it is to do it in two hulls and join it together at the pond. That's probably more sensible.
Although you get other problems there too. I don't think there's a perfect solution.
That's right. Yeah.
Wow.
But if you were going to do it as a pond model, just do a smaller one. Just as simple as that.
What an interesting idea. Small. So that's transport. How far away is the pond? Is it a long way, or?
About a 20-minute drive.
Oh, that's not bad.
So Glasgow is in the west of Scotland. Is where it is. So there's the weather. I think Glasgow's not. It rains a lot in Glasgow, so there's that. Having to do it in a day that doesn't rain, and then any wind you've got to watch, because the wind, a little bit of wind that gets magnified like 72 times to your scale. So you don't. What you don't want is a gust of wind blowing all the models, which will be pinned to the deck, but you don't want, because they're high up, you don't want them blowing all the planes into the water.
What about the island? Do you have plans for the island? I'm sure.
Yes, island is built and in the process of being painted, just kind of over there. That will be next time. But yeah, that's been a big project, but made progress in the last year on that one. Yep.
Excellent. Do you think that's going to affect your center of gravity? I mean, obviously, mechanically it will, but do you think it's going to have an impact?
Might do. And you mean it would be on the starboard side? It might make the starboard side go over to, yeah. Well, I just put a bit of lead on the port side to compensate.
Sure.
I mean, it's not, I have deliberately built it not too heavy.
Yeah.
For that reason. But yeah, just a bit of compensation.
Now you're doing a whole air wing as well.
That's right. I finished the 30th plane 2 days ago. 2 more to go.
See, many people would say, I like to build aircraft. And I've built a few. And over the many, many years, I've got 25 or 30. And you go, oh, that's impressive. But to have to build 30 for the boat, it's a big project.
It's a mini project in itself. But you build one every 5 a year or so, 5 or 6 a year. They all add up. Yeah.
I guess they do. And you've covered a lot of great stuff. But I guess one of the more important questions is, you are married.
Yes.
And still.
Of course, but you need a wife to be able to help you transport it to the pond. Good?
That's a good point.
Yes. But then you also need friends to come and help when your wife says, okay, it's too heavy now. I'm done. No, that's fair enough. It's good. So, okay, I need to help. Need someone else to help now. But yeah.
Well, it's a tremendous amount of work, but you're doing fantastic. And I hope you had a good time, even though it was pressure trialing. I hope it was fun.
It's a bit of both. There's a wee bit of stress of, is this going to work? Is this going to sink? What do I do if this sinks? How, there's so many things that can go wrong.
Is it a deep pond?
Deep pond. It's enough that you can wade out in waders to be able to get it. It's only be you don't want it too deep.
No.
You can't go in if something goes wrong. But you don't want it too shallow, or I think you'll hit obstructions in the bottom. So you actually have to choose the right pond. You need one with a concrete bottom as well.
Ah.
Because if you're out in your waders and it's dirt bottom, you can't walk around.
Oh, of course. Yeah. Hadn't thought about that.
There's experience through my radio-controlled submarine and other projects like a radio-controlled duck, where you make mistakes and learn, and over time you learn these things. But quite often, if you're starting these projects, it'll be a case of you go to the pond and something goes wrong, and then you're disappointed, and then by the time you're driving back, you're like, okay, I'm going to fix this, and then that evening you fix it and go back, and then you think, okay, I learned not to do that time. In a case of when you're attaching a drive shaft to a motor, file off the end so it's a flat surface, and then put a bolt in through the end of the motor into the flat head, because that means that it won't slip.
Sure, it's like a simple keyway. Yep.
Yeah, so things like that, you just learn from experience.
Well, you've done well. Fantastic. It's a beautiful, beautiful ship. So.
Okay, maybe next time we can talk about the other project.
Yeah, I'd love to get more. And I want to see you driving back and going, that was a fantastic day. A 9-hour, 12-hour day.
Yeah, no more punctures the next time.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for your time and all the info.
Very welcome. Thank you very much.
Fair winds.
Right. Cheers then. Bye-bye.
See ya. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Dougie has always been an accurate and thorough researcher. He's written a lot of articles on U-boats. You may have read some on our old website, AMP Accurate Model Parts. And then a few years ago, he wrote a book, Gunther, Prien, and U-47. It's published by the Naval Institute Press, one of the most respected naval and military publishers in the world. It's a very good read. Thanks for exploring a very interesting project with me. Good model making.